Hey, what's happening? Sorry for the time difference between the last time I shot a video and now, but just life's been crazy, working on a project, and I'm taking a few days because my body's beat up, and milling a project for a guy, Cedar project, for a chicken coop. And just show you what's going on here. Actually, I'll take you down the other end because I got the numbers written on the other end here. So what I have going on in my chicken scratching is I've got to cut, trying to get him some stuff to be able to start with. I've got to cut a couple more 10-foot 4x4s. My 8-foot 4x4s I'm done. My 10-foot 2x4s I'm done. My 8-foot 2x4s, I need 14. I've got 7. I need 7 more of these. I need 2 more 10-foot 4x4s, and I need 22 total of the 2x6 by 10 by, what is it, 2x6 by 8, 2x6 by 8, and I've got 7. So I've got to cut some more. I've been cutting these at 10 feet just because I needed weird 10-footers, so I wanted to cut everything out of 10 foot first, and he can cut them down. So I've got to cut, basically today I want to cut 2x6s and 2x4s to fill this part of the order so that this guy can get started on his chicken coop and wait for whatever the balance is that I have this week, because I'm working on other projects. So make sure I'm in frame. So what I want to do today, and you can come along for the whole ride. I'll probably break this into a couple of segments, but I'm gonna run a log. I've got Norwood bands on my bandsaw. They're 7-degree bands. They cut fine. As long as you pay attention to the noise, the loading as you're cutting with them, they cut fine. They cut nice and flat. Give you a really decent finish. This band's got some time on it, but I'm going to switch over. I just ordered some bands out of Dave's bandsaw blades, the Wood-Mizer Silver Tip Turbo 7s, and I want to run one of those today a little bit. So what I want to do is I'm going to buck a log down. I'll go ahead and take you through my thought process here. So I've got a bunch of extras left over down here for stuff that we can do around here. I'm keeping some of the extras over there, just offcuts that don't work. I'm taking all his extras that I think he can use and leaving them in a pile over here. So this whole order will go to the customer. But let me show you what I have with the Cedar. And full disclosure, what happened was when I looked at, I guess showing you would be easier, but when I wrote his order down, I'll get around this way so you can see it. When I wrote his order down, I missed a line item. So I wrote this down to get some pricing, and I missed the line item of 22 2x6s by 8 feet long. So originally, when I looked at the order, I thought I had plenty of wood. I thought I had plenty of cedar. But then that 22 2x6s really threw me for a loop. Means that I'm pretty close actually on how much white cedar I have and western red. And it's a mixture of white cedar, western red, arborvitae. And I have to be very careful about how I cut it to make sure I can hit this whole order. So if you look over in my pile over there, I'm cutting out everything, and every slab cut, I'm cutting them out to nothing to use everything that I could possibly use. So I have a pile here, and today what I want to do is, I have a fairly decent sized log on the top. It's pretty straight. Obviously with cedar they're all pretty tapered. This one, if I cut off the swell, so about right here, I'm looking at approximately 14 inches across. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut the swell off this end. I'm going to buck this to 8 feet. I have a big log behind it. I'm going to save that one for my next one. So I'm going to cut this one first. I'm going to cut it to a max cant, see what I can get out of it. Whatever makes the most sense based on how big it cants out. And then I'm going to load up the big log, and I think I can get fairly close to the rest of the order between this log and that log. It's going to be close. I don't think it'll fill it, but I'll be close. And when I cant this one out, based on what the max cant dimensions come out at, I'll make a decision whether I'm going to cut 2x4s or 2x6s out of it. So this one I'm going to do at 8 feet because it removes a lot of the taper and it's shorter. That one, the big one behind us here that you can't see as well, I'm going to cut at 10 feet and do the same thing. And that way I can cut any part of the order out of that one that I'm missing. You know, I can cut these. There's a couple of 1x8s on there. I think I actually have enough 1x8s for him to use, but I want to make sure. There's a couple of 10-foot 1x8s, and then my 4x4s, I need two 10-foot 4x4s, so I can get those out of that, and then cut the balance of 2x6s and 2x4s out of the big log after I buck this one down. And do I think that's going to do the whole thing? I think it'll get me close. I might have to rip one of these other logs apart. I'm not sure yet. I just got a couple of orders for cedar, so I got to try to maximize everything. So what I'm saying is, this video is going to be long. I'm going to take you along for the whole ride. I'm going to buck this down, going to load it with the skid loader. I'm going to buck it into a cant. Then I'm going to swap out blades to the Turbo 7s to see how they run. The Turbo 7's a little bit more of a high horsepower, high speed blade, so I'm going to run it faster and see how it cuts. And if it, as we start to get long, I'll break this into segments. So if you want to come along for the whole ride, that's awesome. If you don't, this video is probably going to be long. So, but what my goal is most of the time is to show you what you go through when you're milling. And this is going to be a perfect example because it's got to be meticulous about how I do this, and I'm wasting length on these, which will end up being firewood, but I don't want to waste width, so I'm cutting every single slab cut into everything that I can get out of it, because it's valuable wood, and we can use it around here for flower boxes and birdhouses and who knows what. You know, my wife wants an outdoor shower out of cedar, and I'm eating all our cedar right now for this order. But we'll get this one bucked down and load it on the mill. We'll blast it into a cant, and then we're going to swap out to the Turbo 7s to see how they cut. So if you want to come along, great. I'll also talk about a couple of problems I've had with the mill and so on and so forth, but for the most part, the mill is still cutting, super flat, it cuts the dimension great, and doing everything I ask of it. So get this thing wiped down to dimension first, and then load it on the mill. I'll take you along for the ride. So as I'm so busy working through everything that I'm doing, it's taking a toll on my saws. Starting to wear out my little saws. And now what I'm down to is I'm down to big saws. because I have a problem with all my small ones. So we're gonna buck this down with a big saw. And as much as I hate wielding them around out here, typically they're mill saws, but right now they all run perfect, so this is where I'm at. So let me check your view, fire this thing up, rip my hands off, and yeah, you can see the whole thing. So we're gonna buck this down to 8'6", and then I'll move you, come over, we'll load it on the mill, and we'll see what we get out of it. Find a good place to start this saw. Actually, I'll let you see the whole thing, because starting these saws is no joke. These are ported and the whole 9 yards, so you know they got tight squish. They're no joke to start, which is why I like running my small saws for bucking shit down. This saw normally is swinging a 36 or a 42, but right now I got a little 25 on it. This is one of my newer rebuilds. So we get it down to 8'6". I'll move you back where you can see what I'm doing. I'm going to load it on the mill with the Bobcat. Just since I'm by myself, I'm just going to do it with the forks. And we'll take you along for the whole ride. So, you know, the videos that like, oh, they just show a cant up on there, or I'm going to mill for 3 seconds, you know. This is not going to be that video, so I'm just going to get you, yeah, over here so you can see what's going on. I already warmed the Bobcat up, so you go jump in, we'll load this on the mill and get it blasted into a square. So what we'll do is I'm going to take a couple of measurements and see how far. I can tell you right now without even measuring it that the pith on this side's off-centered low, so I'm pretty close. So I think I might just skim the top of this one. If I bring, well, let's take some measurements and just see where we are. Just for the sake of trying to be complete here, you guys, you set a board across your rails, measure to your pith. Pith is off, saying it's 8 inches up here from this board. Do the same thing down the other end. I guarantee it's going to be close. All right, so it's 7 inches up down here. So what we're going to do is we're going to stick an inch under this side. That's why I keep all the crap and scraps underneath the mill. Let me grab my PV real quick. This is really going to be a lesson in what it takes to do this, because when you watch videos, it kind of looks like it's easy, and it's really not. It's really not easy. You could just leave this here and mill it, but find something that's an inch thick that I can stick under that other end. A little offcut here, a 4/4 offcut. This will get us in the ballpark. Won't get us perfect, but it'll get us in the ballpark. Now, the good thing about Cedar is it's just easy to lift. And I don't need to check it again. It's close enough. Get it rolled up against the stops here. We're going to rip the top off it. I'm running pine saw and Dawn dish soap. 7 degrees. The I forget what the. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna rip this into a square first. So anything that I can recut goes on that side. Anything that's going in the flitch / burn pile that I break down into firewood for my campwood thing gonna go on the forks. Already tensioned up. I'm going to go over something about cutting flat with you too. So I'm going to go over something about cutting flat with you. That's important. And I'll take you down here for one of my cuts. But the most important thing about, obviously, other than being sharp, if you want to cut flat, you need to keep your blade loaded evenly. What happens with your blade is when you load it unevenly, either with speed or you have dull spots or you have offset or whatever, is that your blade does this when it's uneven. You go too fast, you go too slow. You want to keep your blade loaded nice and even. So what I'm looking for when I'm cutting is that nice even noise going all the way through. That'll cut flat. This blade's sharp enough to do that. And then what we'll do is we'll swap up blades, and once we get into a square and decide what we're going to cut out of it, we'll throw on one of those silver tip turbo 7s and we'll see how that does. So first we'll buck it into a square. I want you to pay attention to the noise. For one of these cuts I'll take you down here and maybe even walk you along with me as I'm cutting so you can hear it. But you want the chute, what's coming out of the chute, you'll be able to see it. The sawdust coming out of the chute to be nice and an even stream. If it's coming out heavy and then going down low and coming out heavy and going down low, you're not loading the blade evenly. So we want to load the blade evenly. So hopefully I'll be able to demonstrate that.
Take 1 more inch out of the side, because down here I'm not wide enough to do anything with it. Except cut 1x6s. You know what? I'm going to flip it just the way it is. If we have to re-flip it later, we will. Because I could cut 1x6s. I got 6 inches down there. Attention to where your lock stops are as far as height goes. Right now I'm going to be dealing with something approximately 10 inches high. So these can have to be below 9. 7. And this one's a 4. So we're fine. We've got it down. So I have to keep in mind, if I have to go below 7, that one's going to be dropped. I mean below, yeah, below 8. Symmetrical with the other side. Flip it on its side. Now when you flip it on its side, you have to pay attention to what you're doing, because you can end up in a situation where you've got to raise that other end. This side over here is pretty flat. This side over here has a taper out like this. So if I put this side down,
I'd have to raise that end, but I think if I leave this side down, I think that I'm good. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to roll this back. I'll roll it. Roll it back. I just go all the way over. Maybe I can just go all the way over. I want this side on the bottom. Yeah. You see, hopefully you can see the taper there. Okay. Check at the square. Obviously, I'll scroll over some more. This one up. A little bit more. A little too bit more. That's perfectly square. Check it. Perfectly square. We'll take the top off the side. I got 6 inches here. This side could come off more. Let's flip it over and get a square, and then we'll worry about it. Drop down. I think I'm going to still have to rotate this thing, but we'll get them dropped down anyway. And I got to recognize where I am. I'm 2.5 here. About 2.5 there, so I can't go below that. So I think this is going to have to be rotated again. So take top off of this one, we'll see what we end up with. guys up, because what we're going to do is we're going to swap out the blade and try these Turbo 7s. So let me put some gloves on. I think where I am right now is around 10 by 10 cant. What that means to me is that I can cut 2x6s, or I can cut a boatload of 2x8s. I need 7 2x8s, so I could get those. I'm only 8 foot, so I can't do the 2x10s. I'm gonna have to make a decision here in a minute on what I'm gonna do. Logs all around here. Let's get you a view of opening these up. Can't really see through the viewfinder because of my polarized glasses, but yeah. Keep these open. These are from Dave's bandsaw boards. The Wood Miser Silver Tip Turbo 7s. Box, be great. This is a 15 pack right here. Of course, if I had known that they were going to be zip tied, I would have taken care of that beforehand. Do I have a clipper in here? Oh, I gotta flip them over. Well, that sucks. It's done that you put the T-side down on the flip side. So the band has to come out through this opening, so you gotta put the T-side down. I want to keep them in a pack so I can put them back in the package. Then what you want to do is you want to grab your center one, pull it out through here. Like this. So let's see the marks on it. I know there's words on them, I just can't see it. Get you a better view. So we're looking for the writing on them so I can show you what they are without having to show you the packing slip. All right, so right here. So these are Wood Miser Turbo 7s. They're 040, really 046 thick, 7 degree, and these are 167, like 1311, whatever that ends up. 167, I think. Put it on the mill here. Check tracking. Hopefully it's good. Walk around all my stumps. And what you want to do when you load them is you want to kind of get them centered first before you put tension on it, because what will happen is if your tracking's perfect, it'll stay wherever it is. So we want to get it loaded like we want it tracking, back kind of even, gullets kind of flush in the front. Then we'll tension it up. Okay, and then let's run a tracking thing on it here, make sure they're tracking okay. It's tracking perfectly. The gullets are perfectly lined up both sides, that's good. All right, let's put it back together and let's cut some lumber. That's good that the tracking's good. And we'll figure out what we're going to cut out of this cant. Let's see how these Turbo 7s run. It's going to be really interesting to see. I'll show you the flatness and everything and how they cut. If they cut wavy and shitty, then I'll show you that too. I'm running pretty good flow water-wise. Let me get the saw head out of the way and we'll figure out what we're going to do here. I know I'm going to get up above 10. So right now we are 10, pretty much 10 by 10. 10 by 10 right now. So I can go down to I don't want to go below 8 3/8. And 8 3/8 is 2 inch, 2 inch, 2 inch, 2 inch. I don't want to go below that in width or in this way. If I take a 2 out of the top, so I can take an inch and an inch. Not quite though. That's a waste. Got a waste went out of the way. The wane here flows around this side more, so I kind of want to take off this side and that side. So kind of what I want to do is take a 3/4 board off here and a 3/4 board off here. And that's going to leave me, get me to 8 inches wide. Then I can split it in half. That's going to leave me too many 2x4s. I'm going to have to take a 2x6 out of it first. So I'm going to take an inch, 3/4 out of the top, 3/4 out of the bottom. Get rid of some of the wane. Out of this side here. And this side here. I have less wane on this side, so I'm going to do this side first. Skim 3/4 out of this side. Trying to not waste the board at the bottom. So I think what I want to do is roll it this way. Take 3/4 out of the top. Then flip it over, take 3/4 out of the other side. Then if I have to waste a skim cut to get to 8 3/8, we'll see. All right, I'm gonna cut it right here. See how it runs. Impression is it's pretty smooth. I'll take it down to big 7-inch or whatever we came out of rain out of this side. So we're at 8 3/8 wide. Those 777s are cut really nice and smooth. Well, let's see the finish here. Hopefully it doesn't rain on me here. Cutting really nice and smooth. I can't even see any lines in it at all. You know, versus, well, that other blade's got a little time on it, but you see how kind of ragged it is here, see how smooth it is here. It's cutting really good. So let me figure this out here. So I'm only 8 feet long, so I can't cut a 1x8. And what I could do is I could rip it in half. 8 1/4 by 10. So rip it in half. 8 1/4 this way, so I can take 2. Dimension. I've got 10/8, so I want to rip a 2-inch slice off. That leaves me 6 inches wide. So come up 6 inches off the top. Rip that off into a 2x6. Split it in half, rip it on the side, and rip 2x4s out of it. 2x4 and the 2x6 on the 2x8 on the top. Set my 8/4 scale off the top. So I just set my 8/4 scale to the top of the board. Right here. And I set it lined up with the top of the black line here. Right here, the green scale. So now as I drop, I just drop to the top of the line, top of the line, top of the line. And it'll give me 2-inch thick cuts all the way through. And because I have the 8 3/8 there, I should end up with a 2-inch board at the bottom. Now if I cared about the one on the bottom, I could set it off at 2 inches on the bottom and then go to the top and just line it up with the scale and drop as I go. Either way, I have 8 3/8, so it should end up with perfect 2-inch thick boards all the way down. So I'll rip it up. Alright, so now I have all his 8-foot 2x4s, plus one. I have one on the bottom that's got pretty bad weight on it, so works out perfect. The dimensions came out perfect. The boards are cut perfectly straight. nice and smooth. Now we can get to building his chicken coop. So I have one good one on the bottom, and then I have one with a bunch of wane. I'll throw this in as an extra one. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to prepare another log, get another log up there. I got to start cutting this balance of his 2x6s, and I gotta cut that one 2x6, that 2x8 over there. That's got to be cut down to 2x6. I'm going to start cutting 2x6s. So I'm going to get another log up, bigger one. And what we're going to try to do is we're going to try to get it to 12 1/8 cant. Maybe 12 1/8 by 6-ish. And cut the rest of his... I'm going to do that one at 10 feet too. Got to do it at 10 feet because if I can get his 4x4s out of that, I will. I need 2 more 4x4s at 10 feet. So we're going to cut it at 10 feet. And what we're looking for is we're looking for 4 6 1/8. So 10 1/8 by 12 1/8. Ten 1/8 gets me 4 6, and then something, maybe even 10 1/8 by 8 3/8. So I don't know. We'll look. We'll cant it out and see how it comes out. So this whole plotting and planning thing, so you don't waste anything. Like right now, you know, there's all of those slab cuts. There's nothing there. Oh, it's an hour and 10 minutes. Holy shit. And right now I've got all this 2x4s done. And I got 15 and 14. That's actually 15 and 15. But the one with all the wane on the top is an extra. I need 2 more of those. Those are all good. Need 2 more of those. And I got 22 minus 7, 15 more 6s. So that's where we're going next. We'll get another log loaded up. And I'm not going to show all that. I'll bust this into a part 2. Should be a part 3. That Silver Tip Turbo 7 cut's awesome. I like it. Yeah, so that's where we are. Bust this into a part 2.